morning, class. Do you still remember what we have talked about yesterday? We're going to continue knowing other cultures. Are you ready? Let's begin. You must be familiar already with the following greetings. This means hello. Do you have an idea? What are the answers to the following questions? If not, let's find out more. It all started with barter or what you call trade, and the first country that influenced us is the Chinese. Okay, let's have a quick recap on the different influences of the Chinese in early Filipinos. Yesterday, we talked about the following: intermarriages, economic activities, language, food, manner of dressing, and values. Do you still remember these? At that time, the Arabs were already trading with the Chinese. They then had to look for other lands where they could bring their goods, and one of that is the Philippines. Let us look into some of the Arab influences in our country. The long-lasting influence of the Arabs on the Filipinos is most evident in the practice of Islam. Today, Islam is still a thriving religion in Mindanao, the islands of Basilan and Palawan, and Sulu and Tawi-Tawi. The Muslims worship Allah as their God. The Quran, the Muslims' holy book, contains the teachings of Prophet Muhammad. The Muslim Filipinos in Mindanao learned many things from the Muslim missionaries. They did not eat pork. They practiced circumcision. They built mosques and learned to pray to Allah. They also learned about Muslim laws and religious duties. Islam spread in a peaceful manner in southern Philippines. There has been no lasting conflict or hostility among the indigenous inhabitants in the process of spreading Islam. The word Islam means peace, is what our Muslim sisters and brothers desire to have. This desire is conveyed as they greet people they meet with Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be with you. By the end of the 15th century, some Muslim Filipinos learned Arabic language and writing. They acquired copies of the Quran and other Islamic writings. They started to use Arabic words, some of which are still used in Muslim Filipino language, like Kali, judge, Ahara, law, Quran, sacred book of Muslims, Dunya, world, Pandita, religious leader, and Nabi, prophet. In the Filipino language, Arabic words like pilat or scar and sulat or letter are still used. With the introduction of Islam to the country came a new form of government, the Sultanate, which is headed by a sultan. Among other contributions of the Arabs to the Muslim Filipinos in the Mindanao is the Islamic calendar, which keeps track of time and events, the Arabic script, art and science, and the use of firearms. The famous Sari Manok design is Arabic in origin. Many stories of the Maranaos and the Tausugs are similar to those found in the Arabian Nights. The early Filipinos made contact with India during the times of 18th to 13th century. They also did it through trade and commerce. Such contact also brought Indian cultural influences to the Filipino people, including aspects of language, dressing, and customs. Many words in Filipino language are Sanskrit in origin. Sanskrit is the ancient language of India and Hinduism, which is the religion of a majority of peoples in India. The words include dala, fishnet, asawa, wife or husband, diwa, spirit or thought, lakambini, muse, and wika, language. The term Bathala comes from the Sanskrit term Batara Guru, meaning the highest of the gods. The early Filipino men learned to wear the putong, a headgear that was similar to the turban worn by Indian men. The women learned to wear the sarong with embroidered shawls over their shoulders. The Filipinos adopted many Indian customs and the traditions. These are still being practiced to this day. One example is the gesture of placing a garland of flowers around the neck of a visitor as a sign of friendship and hospitality. The custom of a man giving a dowry and of providing service in the house of his future in-laws is also an influence of Indian culture. Another influence of Indian culture on Philippine culture is felt in our tradition of throwing grains of rice on newlyweds to wish them prosperity throughout their life. Many Filipinos still believe that a childless couple who dances in a pilgrimage will finally have a child. This is a practice that the early Filipinos learned from the Indians. Many of our artwork on articles made of brass, bronze, or copper, smelting such as gongs, manifest yet another proof of Indian influence on our culture. The last country that made an impact in the Filipino culture is the Japanese influence. In the 13th century, there was already a flourishing trade between the Filipinos and the Japanese. This resulted into Japanese making some important contributions to Filipino culture, particularly on economic aspects. They introduced industries like the manufacture of tools, tanning of deer skin, and artificial breeding of ducks and fishes. Duck and fish breeding are now considered as the most important Japanese influence on Filipinos. Today, we learned about the following influences: Japanese, Chinese, Indian, and Arab. Which is the most remarkable influence to you? Can you tell us why? Today, we learned about the four cultures that influenced the early Filipinos. Did you learn something today? I hope you do. If ever you have questions, feel free to message me or leave a comment on the comment section below. Thank you so much, Grade 4, and God bless you.